Babe, wake up. Babe, I know you just got off a 36-hour shift at the hospital while I stayed at home, but babe, please wake up. Okay, babe, now that you're awake, I have to tell you, there's a new Timothy Chalamet at bat. Also, can you make me breakfast now? I'm hungry. A few months back, we looked at real-life Major League at-bats that mirrored the tweet from Will Sinnott describing how he would strike out actor Timothy Chalamet on 3 pitches, slider outside, curveball in the dirt, and bang, 97 inside corner, you're out, you've always been out. The winning sequence was an at-bat between right-handed pitcher Nathan Eovaldi and right-handed hitter Anthony Volpe. They followed the letter of the law to the closest degree. A comment left by user Capra Agricola on the original Timothy Chalamet video earlier this month has pointed out to me a new Timothy Chalamet at bat. We are going to break it down pitch by pitch. Now, when I originally released this video, I received one piece of feedback from Will Sinnott's podcast co-host Nate Fisher, who pointed out to me that for the sake of accuracy, Will is left-handed. I was only looking at right-handed pitchers, but in this scenario, Will, a left-handed pitcher, is facing Timothy Chalamet. Which actually bummed me out a little bit. I had watched the Will Sinnott companion TikTok, and it appeared he was holding the baseball in his right hand. Come to find out later, no, that TikTok video is actually mirrored, as evidenced by the text on his Cincinnati Reds jersey, so he is indeed a lefty. And as we'll see from this sequence, it actually makes a lot more sense coming from a matchup where the batter and pitcher are opposite-handed rather than same-handed. So who is the left-handed pitcher who, in 2025, put together a beautiful Timothy Chalamet sequence? It is none other than perhaps the most dominant pitcher in all of baseball, Tarik Skubal of the Detroit Tigers. And if I can just set the scene, he's already struck out the first 2 batters he's faced in the second inning, when up to the plate walks right-handed hitter Otto Kemp. When I was grading those Timothy Chalamet sequences in April, I came up with this, a rubric, sort of a checkbox system based on Will Sinnott's original tweet, for accuracy. Nathan Eovaldi, the leader in the clubhouse, scored a 4 out of 6 on Anthony Volpe. Let's see what Tarik Skubal can do against Otto Kemp. First pitch of the at-bat, looking for slider outside, and we get it. Oh my goodness, we get it in the most aesthetically pleasing way. Look at the body language. Look at this half-hearted check swing from Otto Kemp. He is absolutely flummoxed by what has just occurred. This is exactly what Timothy Chalamet would do if he were in the same situation. Tarik Skubal, and really all the Timothy Chalamet at-bat pitchers, are pitching backwards in this scenario. They're throwing breaking balls early in fastball counts and then dispatching him with a fastball later on, hence the confusion. Full point for that, it is slider outside. Let's enjoy the slow-mo once again. It is just perfect. He's drowning. That is what the text says. He's drowning. That's what drowning feels like right there. If Timmy truly were the Kwisatz Haderach, he would have the foresight or the pitch recognition to see that first pitch slider coming, but he doesn't because he's a moron. Second pitch of the at-bat now. So now Timothy Chalamet's like, I need to get my head in the game, right? He just snuck a breaking ball in the zone right past me. I'm not going to let that happen again. And bang, we're looking for the curveball in the dirt from Skubal. You know what? It's not in the dirt. And it's not technically chase either, because this is a pitch that is in the strike zone, although even if Otto Kemp / Timothy Chalamet were to somehow make contact or put it into play, it would not produce a good outcome overall. But he really just does go fishing for this one. I mean, it is an absolutely hopeless swing on this knuckle curve from Timothy Chalamet. I can't technically award points for this one, but it is absolutely beautiful nonetheless. The curveball was always going to be the problem child of this sequence, simply because it's the pitch type thrown the least often compared to the other two. You can see that the pitch usage for curveballs has gone down league-wide over the last decade or so. 2016, 2017, we're looking at an 11% usage rate. 2024, 2025, more like 8 or 9%, so it has lost market share. The good news is that curveballs are often used in situations where the batter and pitcher are opposite-handed, so in this case a left-handed pitcher versus a right-handed batter. It is seen as having a more neutral platoon split compared to something like a changeup or a slider. And then meanwhile, you've got the slider, which was the first pitch of this at-bat, in a somewhat opposite situation. It is gaining market share over the years. A decade ago, we're looking at a 15 or 16% usage rate league-wide. Now we're up to about 22%. That usage rate is particularly relevant to Tarik Skubal, who only uses his knuckle curve 2% of the time in 2025, and yet some way, somehow, he has put together a Timothy Chalamet-like sequence of slider, curveball, and the third and final pitch, the fastball. Technically, I've only been able to award 1 point to Tarek Skubal after the first 2 pitches, so we're going to need a perfect third pitch fastball to get the job done here, looking for 97 inside corner, and we get it. We get it in a beautiful way. Called strike 3 looking. It is not just 97, it is 99 miles per hour, so a full point awarded for that. It is inside, it is on the inner third of the plate, so a point awarded for that as well. And finally, it's in the corner of the strike zone, so that is another point. That is 3 points total from this pitch. It's a perfect third pitch. There was some discussion about, well, when people say inside corner, they usually don't mean a particular corner of the strike zone. They just mean inside, and that's true. And yet, at the same time, I feel like I should grade Tarek Skubal on the same criteria that previous competitors were graded on. I mean, imagine being Timothy Chalamet in this situation. He's already put your mind in a pretzel with those first 2 breaking balls, and then it's fastball in the strike zone, and look at the body language on the half-hearted check swing. Once again, absolutely dominated. It's very aesthetically pleasing for that called strike 3, even though it's not explicitly said in Will Sennett's tweet, so I can't use it as a grading criteria. One thing we discussed in the original video is that we feel like the final pitch of the at-bat should be called strike 3, which is in line with the reverse expectations of the backwards pitching sequence. At the end of the day, Timmy gets to go back to the red carpets with his Kardashian girlfriend, but inside, it is just eating him alive how much he was dominated by this devastating pitch sequence. I really think the aesthetics of this sequence, the unquantifiable vibes, are unlocked by the fact that the pitcher we're looking at in this case is left-handed rather than right-handed, because when a pitcher throws a fastball, unless it's a cutter, it's generally going to come with arm side movement. So four-seam fastballs, for example, on average, have 8 inches of arm side movement. That means the ball moves in the direction that the arm is, not where the glove is. So although it's not super apparent on the video to the untrained baseball eye, the ball is moving this way across the screen. Contrary to expectation, it is moving arm side. And that means that Otto Kemp is expecting this baseball, if it had no movement at all, to end up right here. And that's what causes him to take the pitch. He thinks it's going to be a pitch outside of the strike zone, and then at the last second there, it just sort of veers right in to this location. And that's not possible in a situation where the pitcher is the same handedness as the hitter. Because if a right-handed pitcher throws a fastball inside to a right-handed hitter, the trajectory of the pitch, even with the arm side movement baked in, makes it always look like it's going to end up in the strike zone, and is thus very likely to coax a swing, particularly on an 0-2 count. So here's an example: Sandy Alcantara versus right-hander Andy Pages. This pitch looks like it's going to the outside of the zone. This is the point where Andy Pages has to decide whether to swing or not. This pitch looks like it's going to end up somewhere along here. Now, because Sandy Alcantara has nasty arm side movement, is actually going to cut more this direction, to the right side of our screen, and we end up with an inside pitch. He swings and fouls it off because, of course, it looks like it's going to be a strike the whole time. The point is, it's highly unlikely that a right-handed pitcher is going to be able to throw a fastball inside to a right-handed hitter and get that called strike 3 because of the way fastballs tend to move arm side. The same could be said about the first pitch slider outside, because the slider moves glove side, so in this situation with a left-handed pitcher this way across the screen, Otto Kemp thinks it's going to end up here, and then it ends up in the strike zone. The way you create a called strike is you throw a pitch that looks like it's going to be a ball, and then it sneaks into the strike zone last second. If a right-hander tries to throw a slider to that location, again, it looks like it's going to go into the strike zone, and thus it coaxes a swing. So this entire sequence is unlocked by the fact that the pitcher in question is left-handed, and that's my bad. My bad for looking originally at only right-handed pitchers versus right-handed batters. I want to offer my sincerest apologies to Will Sennett, offer my apologies to Tarek Skubal, and not offer any apologies to Timmy Chalamet, because you're still out, buddy. Now, in terms of the rubric scoring, it is a 4 out of 6, which means it merely ties the sequence put together by Nathan Eovaldi versus Anthony Volpe. But it's just better. It's called strike 3 looking versus a swinging strike 3 foul tip into the catcher's glove. There's no way Timothy Chalamet's touching this baseball at all. That is completely unrealistic. It also feels dominant in terms of pace and rhythm. This is the second fastest at bat we have tracked by duration at 41 seconds. That is 5 seconds faster to dispatch Timothy Chalamet than Nathan Eovaldi.
You got to protect against that changeup, and then how do you deal with night? And then before you know it, you blink, it's by you.
But it's the arm swing.
Just look at that right arm, that glove right up there. kind of almost like a
This is surgery.
I'll shout out Ethos again. If you didn't see it in theaters, you can now stream it digitally. And there's also a limited edition Blu-ray box set for the home media enjoyers out there. And if you want to support me, you can use code FOOLISH on SeatGeek for $20 off your first order. We're looking at some Braves tickets. These are rated a 10 on the deal score meter. Great seats for only $50 a piece, probably because the Braves are bad and they suck and everyone's sad. And you can join the Patreon, patreon.com/foolishbaseball. I do monthly exclusive video content on there. Here's a Q&A I did last month. It's over an hour long. What you can do is you can join the Patreon, and it won't charge you until the first of the month. So join, see what's on there, and then decide by the end of the month what you want to do. Thank you for watching.